Hello, hello. Welcome to another episode of Luna Live. With me, I have a good friend and my mentor, Josh Dexter, who has got a transformation story. I think part of it is physique, part of it would be business. But I don't really know the full story, and I'm just as excited as you to find out. So I will hand over to Josh if you want to kind of introduce yourself, say who you are, and then just crack on with your story because I'm excited.
Crack on with my story. How big? how, how much depth do you want me to go in with my
I mean, we
story?
don't need to know the birds and the bees of where how you were made, but just if we start off, I'm not sure when your career started. Although I do always like to hear what your family was like in regards to kind of the support or lack of support, or whether you were grown up thinking the sky was the limit, or whether you were brought up with the belief that like you couldn't actually do too well. So yeah, all of that.
Yeah.
I'm sure we'll go down a spiral.
Timeline things then. I'll timeline things. So
Yeah.
My sort of journey, if you like, then started probably when I was about 16. So 15, 16, when I was playing rugby, that was when I was first introduced into the weights room, as a lot of people are.
Rugby boy.
Rugby boy, yeah, football boy for most of my life, but then I shifted over with the actual shift of football becoming a little bit more, a lot of people diving, like the rough and ready old school footballer that I was. It was an easy transition to go into rugby after that.
Became drama.
Yeah, that's that's it. Yeah, so that was when I was first introduced to rugby and obviously the weight room. So that's when I was first introduced to the fitness industry. Being 15, 16, as you can sort of imagine, not a lot of people were kind of hitting weights at school. So I did grow pretty quickly, which was noticed quite a lot, and like friends and people at school was just asking me for help and advice, and that's where my coaching journey sort of began. My whole intention from that point was to be a personal trainer because I absolutely fucking loved it. Loved working with people, loved helping people, loved the gym. Like my life was literally just in that gym. Ended up being my focal point outside of rugby. Ended up stopping rugby and wanting to work as a personal trainer. Initially, when I told my parents that, look, I wanted to be a personal trainer, I was actually told, like, no, there's no money in it. So I actually, from 16 to 18, I was an apprentice accountant.
Really?
Really didn't enjoy the job whatsoever. So yeah, it wasn't fun. And then kind of hit a point where I was like, no, I still want to do this after like 2 years. Like I kind of put my foot down and said, look, I'm doing this, like, with or without your sort of blessing. Obviously they were very supportive. I think it was just a case of a lack of knowledge within the fitness industry.
Yeah, I think it's also a generational thing. I think our parents, you picked a job, you ran with it for 30, 40 years, and you picked security. You know, you went to university, you got your degree, or you did an apprenticeship, you got your trade, and that was it. You went for it. Whereas our generation is like, nah, I'm getting a bit of sales, a bit of marketing, a bit of this, that, and the other, and then I'm going to create something crazy with it. So it's cool. It's cool that that's what it's like. But yeah, probably wasn't that they weren't supportive parents. They just don't understand it.
Just lack of understanding. That's all it was. All it was, really.
Yeah.
But yeah, 18 got my qualifications because you have to be 18 to get your qualifications in the fitness industry anyway.
Oh, right. Yeah.
So you've got to be 18 as it is a minimum requirement. So as soon as I got my qualification, and then worked as an apprentice gym instructor. So I was actually on apprenticeship wage for about 3 years.
Wow.
From 16 to 19.
Which now apprenticeship wage is probably a lot more than it was then. I remember like apprenticeship wage.
£3 an hour.
Yeah. It was like
£3 an hour, not fun.
No. couldn't get your jag with that. No.
No, no, definitely not. But yeah, so worked as an apprentice gym instructor for that first year. And just again, without me actually realizing it, I just, like, built quite a good community. Like a lot of people were coming to my classes. Everybody kind of knew my name and vice versa. I knew their name as well when they were coming into the gym. And we also had the experience of, it was the gym that I was an apprentice at. We opened the gym. So
All right,
the
cool.
lease was actually signed and it was an empty building. So I had the experience of actually opening that gym from start to finish. So that was quite an eye opener, sort of early on in
So
my
you
career.
saw all the teething problems, all the kind of startups. That's cool. That's cool.
Yeah, so that was quite interesting. And then it hit a point where the gym actually started to fail. So management and the owners just tried to go down a different path that didn't work. And they tried to compete with, because there was it was a budget gym and there was another budget gym that opened in the area.
Right.
And they tried to compete with price and it ended up going a bit tits up, to be honest. So I was left with moving to another gym with the client base that I'd built up, and my business actually failed because a lot of them didn't come to this other gym.
Right. Oh yeah, I don't think a lot of people realize that personal trainers tend to be self-employed. They are actually self-employed. They're just inside a gym. So that's why there's a bit of a misunderstanding, because it's like, yes, you can make a lot of money as a personal trainer, but you got to work bloody hard. And it's a case of that you're not getting paid. So the people, say for example, if we use Pure Gym, that are personal training from there, they're not getting paid by Pure Gym. No, yeah, but just in case people didn't realize, that's what Josh is saying. He was like literally gone from kind of a self-employed client base, moved to another gym, and so they didn't all follow you. How rubbish, eh?
Yeah, that's it. And, well, at the time, I didn't really have a lot of experience. It was just a case of convenience. I think for a lot of clients, my service probably wasn't to scratch. Obviously, I'm still very early on at this stage, so me as a coach, probably not as good of a coach as I am now. It was just one of those things, a little bit of a learning curve. So yeah, the business ended up like failing. So what I had to do is, obviously still got bills to pay. Still, we'd actually moved out. Me and Gemma had actually moved out into our own place by this point as well. So I had to get a job. So I got a job being David Lloyd.
Okay.
Got snapped up pretty quickly, to be fair, which was quite good, gave me a big confidence boost. And then my whole intention of taking that job was to learn the sales and marketing side of things, because I didn't want a repeat of what had happened before. I knew I wanted to work for myself again, but I wanted to kind of learn that side of things, which was a weakness at the time, so I could apply it back into my business, so I could start again. So I was there for about a year and a half. It wasn't too long. There for about a year and a half, and then I got the opportunity to work for a personal training studio, so a private studio, where I managed a team of 6 to 7 personal trainers, where I obviously helped them elevate their businesses as face-to-face trainers, and obviously managed the gym as well. And then just built myself up gradually to a point where, well, it's time for me to go back on my own now. I've built all the experience that I needed. So my sales, marketing experience, actually running a gym, helping other trainers grow their businesses as well. So it was the point where I was like, do you know what? Yeah, I'm gonna work as a coach again, like run my own business and really grow and develop my own business.
David Lloyd are very shit hot on reputation as well, aren't they? Like, you've got to be, they don't just kind of have any old Tom, Dick, or Harry. They do like to have a good image to them, David Lloyd. Well, they charge a lot of money, so they should really. But
it's a good experience, a very good experience. I think in total I'd brought in about 400 grand for the club.
Wow.
But so I did pretty well. Did pretty well. But I only came out with £16,600.
Right.
So I came out with fuck all.
In comparison, the tiniest percentage.
But that's what you get sometimes for being employed, which is why that was never the end goal. But learned a lot from that, and learned a lot from the private studio that I managed as well. And all of those things that I kind of learned from those experiences were just because my first initial business had failed. So the blessing in disguise, really, and it's kind of led me to where I am today, where I've built my coaching business up to a very good point where I have a team sort of deal with that now, and I'm mentoring people like you, helping other people grow their businesses now. So it's going well. It's going well. I'm enjoying life.
So how did you get whipped up by Limitless? I've always wondered that.
I actually hired Elliot to kind of, again, another learning curve, because I'd helped face-to-face trainers grow, but I wanted to learn more about the online side, whether it was like any different or whatnot. So yeah, I actually hired Elliot, and he knew that I was mentoring people like myself anyway, because I kind of was.
Yeah.
And yeah, he was at a point where they were at capacity, himself and James, and yeah, I was the next team member to come on board with them. So yeah, very good opportunity for me to get in front of more people.
Yeah, awesome. So if you had any advice for someone, yeah. So if you had like any advice for someone who was just starting out, so say they were like you, they're in the industry, they've got that entrepreneurial mindset. So like I'm the same. I'm like, I have worked for other people, but I always knew I was never gonna, that was not gonna be an end thing. I always knew the end goal is that I work for myself. And it wasn't that I had issues with authority. I know a lot of people were like that they go, I've got to work for myself, I can't be managed. It's not that at all. I don't mind that. It's just that I've got that brain that has to do it. And I do honestly believe we're all kind of put on the universe with a bit of a job, and as long as you don't fight it too much, you are going to be drawn to all things that this, that, and the other. And every failure is a lesson, like you said. So when you are kind of like something's going wrong, instead of fighting it and trying to cling on to it, see it as an opportunity to move on to your next thing. So if you could give anyone advice who's in an industry that they know they want to thrive in but on their own, so say for example, if you could go and talk to Josh when he was 15 years old, what would your kind of advice be? Was there anything that you wish you could have had, like a little angel on your shoulder telling you then? Or were you very kind of self-soothing? But yeah, if you've got any advice for 15-year-old Josh.
I think I've always been very independent, and like I'm a massive introvert. Like me, my own space in a dark room with a laptop is the most dangerous time in the most work that I ever get done. So like I've always been internally quite driven anyway. Like I've never really had external like role models or anything like that. But a lot of if I could look back now and give myself advice, would be I should have just jumped straight away. Instead of getting that accountancy job and trying to go down that route, I should have just like stood on my own 2 feet straight away. But I wouldn't have known that at that time, so I can't really give myself that advice.
No, of course,
but
yeah.
I think a lot of people who are employed or not happy with the job that they're currently in at the moment, a lot of the time it's just down to money. They're in that job for money. That is literally it, to pay their bills, to pay their way, to get by in life. Yeah, that's literally the only reason they're in the job that they hate. So if you do take that jump and you want to do something where you actually enjoy what you do on a day-to-day basis, what's the worst that can actually happen? You just get another job. Exactly what I did. Like when my business failed, I just got a job.
Yeah, I think I've said this to you before. We live in a country. I mean, we are going to have a lot of American listeners because I've got a few American guests. But in the UK, we live in a country where we have, like, I'm not going to say the government have our back because they don't. But what's the worst that can happen is that you end up on benefits. Like, and you can still live on benefits. Plenty of people do. I'm not saying that should be kind of like your cushion, but it's just the case of like if you're struggling to have that mindset of you're like, I really want to do this thing but I'm scared it's going to fail. Okay, if it fails, you're still going to be able to feed yourself, you're still going to be able to feed your family, you can go on, you might not be able to live in the house you live in now, but yeah, you can still kind of move about. But was your mindset always a very kind of right, every failure is a lesson, and you stayed quite chilled throughout it all, or was that something you had to build and grow on? Because I can't imagine, like, you've always been chilled.
definitely wasn't chilled.
No, you definitely weren't chilled. All right, okay.
No,
Well,
no,
you
it
had to
definitely wasn't.
put your energy to
Yeah, I think
something.
yeah, when the first business failed, I did suffer quite badly mentally, because I was like,
Hmm.
well, like, was I delivering a good service? Why didn't my clients come with me? What have I done wrong? And there was a period of time where Gemma would, because she was working a 9 to 5 at the time, she would leave for work, come back from work, and I was in the same position, not really doing anything, sort of feeling sorry for myself, thinking why, instead of actually taking action.
Hmm.
So that was quite a difficult time for me, very, very difficult time for me. But you learn from. I've always looked at things as a learning curve. You can't beat yourself up about it. Like it's like the whole reason I went and got a job in that particular field, because that was a weakness, and I
Yeah.
wanted it to be a strength. The whole
That's
reason
cool.
I
That's cool. You should go towards that. That's like
yeah,
something that I
yeah,
tell people all the time. Like, so I've got a client that like she is kind of someone I'm really focusing on at the moment, because she is literally toxic relationships. She's got toxic relationship with food. She's never had a good body image, this, that, and the other. And she's like, what she wanted to go to the gym, but obviously she was scared to go to the gym. So I've given her a plan where she's doing a lot of it in the women's only room, but I've given her stuff that she has to do in the big gym, because I'm like, it's scary because you need to do it, and the thing that you're resilient, that you're pushing against, is probably the thing you need to do the most, and then you will grow from doing that thing. um
yeah.
but
Couldn't
yeah,
agree
that's
more.
cool. That's cool that you've always had it as a lesson. There is a lot of people, well, actually saying that, Gemma would probably have a different story, but if she came home and saw you just sit in the same room. But because another thing that I like to tell, that I always kind of explain to people, is sitting as a victim will never get you moving. Like, this is something that a lot of people do. They go, like, for example, if you'd have done it, my business is failing, my parents were right, I should have just been an accountant, that's it, I'm going back to that. And then eventually, because clearly your purpose in life is to help people and stuff like that, because that's what you're doing now and you're enjoying it and you're good at it, and is that you would have never have gotten to this point, or you would have eventually, but it would have been, how old are you, Josh? I've never actually asked you that.
I'm 25.
25, yeah. So you might have got to this stage when you were 35,
Yeah,
25 years away from retiring, not
yeah,
at peak point for your industry, not at, because that's partially why I like having you as a mentor, is because I mean, I'm 27, so it's not a massive age gap. So
yeah,
it's like, you can relate to me as
yeah.
the same generation as me, not just oh yeah, Josh is all up there and is with his business and everything like that. So how it is, you can put a little plug in now if you like. How's JD going? How is your fitness? Because you're obviously doing this, and you've got your coaching business. You're still running it, aren't you?
Yeah, still running. To be fair, I just oversee it now. I just
Mm.
oversee it. I don't do any coaching now. So I've got Steve, who coaches for me, one of my coaches, and he just deals with my clients. And to be fair, I just keep it there to kind of stay relevant and use it as almost like my case study to help you guys. Like, if I
Yeah.
fuck up on that, okay, it's a lesson that I can learn and make sure you guys don't.
Yeah.
So I'll just kind of keep it there running in the background. But yeah, my focus now is obviously mentoring. We've got a few other things in the pipeline. My interest
I
now
know. I've
purely
seen some stuff on some Instagram stories that looks interesting. Has
yeah,
somebody maybe got a course or something coming out, possibly?
yeah, yeah. We've got big goals, and to be fair, as you know, we don't like to do things by halves. With the team we've got at Limitless. But yeah, my focus now is just purely business. I don't have much of an interest now in in actually working with people directly from a coach to client standpoint, because I've been there and I've done it in my eyes.
You've grown. Yeah, you've grown. It's essential. It's where people actually get really unstuck if they make their goal something that they can't grow from. It's actually, there's a lot of sportsmen that get severely depressed when they've hit their goal, because like who was it, that there's that boxer, really big name. He had a fight with Anthony Joshua not too long ago. The Gypsy King. Oh, I can't remember. Anyway, he did that. He reached the peak of his career. He reached that goal that he's always been fighting for. Yeah. And then he got miserable. He was depressed. He started drinking. He started taking drugs. He started sleeping with hookers. Like, even though he had a wife, he had a family, because it was like, where do I go from here? I've reached my goal. Which is why I always say to people, your goal, it's partially why I always kind of say your goal cannot be an external thing, because it will always change, because that's what you need. You need to grow constantly. Otherwise you will just get depressed. So if you go, right, I'm going to reach a size 6, you'll reach that size 6 and you'll go, cool, I want to grow a bum. I want to grow, whatever. And then you'll go, okay, cool. And that's fine. But when you attach your happiness to that, that's when you'll never be happy. Because whereas if you, like you have, just enjoy the whole journey and constantly thrive to go, let's do this next thing, let's do this next thing, that's when you'll actually find true kind of freedom and happiness. Because Josh is actually living the dream right now, aren't you? Yeah, we are zooming from Marbella. Well, yeah, he doesn't get to see much of the sunshine and swimming pools. No.
To be fair, like that's one of the things we've learned out here. I purposely lock myself in the apartment because as soon as I'm out of the apartment, it's very hard for me to get back into work. So what I've found since I've been out here is I've spent a lot of time just stuck in the apartment. I've even now the curtains are shut, so I can't see what's outside. Because it's as soon as I actually get outside, it's a massive distraction.
You have to be in a zone.
I've got to be like the goals that I've set myself for 2022, obviously 21 as we're recording this, are scary. Like even for me, and I won't achieve them sat out there sipping on a pina colada. I just can't. So
no.
we're actually moving back to the UK because for the time being, it's just a distraction more than anything.
Well, I think that's because initially you were going to kind of live out of backpacks, weren't you, and move about a bit. But I was talking to Gemma. Gemma is Josh's wife. I was talking to Gemma the other day, and I said, like, oh, where are you going to after Marbella? And she said, oh no, actually we're looking to buy a house in back in the UK. So that's cool. That's interesting though, because a lot of people think when you're making good money and stuff like that, and it's actually like quite essential that you don't do this, is that you're making good money. I'm going to buy a nice car all the time. I'm going to go out and have every single meal out. I'm going to go to in Marbella, Ibiza, here, there and everywhere. But actually you're then going to stump yourself, aren't you, really? Because you've the best way to actually grow is to keep reinvesting in yourself, isn't it?
It's like James came out to James is part of the Limitless team as well. He came out to visit, and honestly we had probably 3 to 4 hours where we had a little bit of quote unquote downtime while he was here for a whole week. We were both just in the apartment working, and that just shows the environment that we're in at the moment. And not saying it's going to be like that forever, but it's just because we've got certain goals that we want to hit, and I don't want to be working ideally past 40. I want my investments and my assets like paying me and paying for our future. So how I look at it is if I can put that work in now, then I can retire a lot earlier and actually like spend a lot of time with my kids and grandkids moving.
You can enjoy. Yeah, you can actually enjoy living, because that's the other thing people kind of think is like, it's all work hustle until you die, and it's like, well, no, that's not really living. But no, that's cool. I can't imagine you being able to turn off though. There's a lot of workaholics that I do think that I think they have that end goal to have their get out of the rat race and then have their kind of assets make them money to eventually lead to financial freedom. But I can't ever imagine them going, right, that's it, I'm done. I'm sure, do you not have any ideas of any projects you'd want to do or anything like that after? Or would it just be a case of, could you actually imagine
it's already in the pipeline.
Is it?
Yeah, so it's already in the pipeline, to be fair. I mean, exactly like you said, I don't think I'll ever be able to switch off completely. But if I've got a project, I just need something. I need something to work on that can progress. Like, I will always need that. But I'll probably end up getting into property a little bit more and sort of like growing that, maybe managing that a little bit more. So it's a little less demanding sort of day to day, but it's still a project that I can progress with.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's the direction that I'll end up going in.
That'd be cool. It'd be JD Properties. JD Developments or something like that. That'd be awesome.
You know what I love about you, Millie? You take the serious out of everything.
That's why I was on a podcast the other day, and she said to me, give me 3 things. So you want something that feeds your soul, something that feeds kind of your brain, and something that feeds your heart. And I was saying for soul, I said, don't grow up, like mature by all means, get older, you can't help that, but don't grow up. Like if you, and it's the same with, we actually when we started thinking about like money and investments and stuff like that, we bought, I don't know if you've heard of the game Cash Flow.
Not.
No, Richard, I'll have to play it with you when you're back here. We'll meet up, we'll have some whiskeys and play Cash Flow. Yeah, I bought Josh a very big whiskey at an event once, and then he couldn't talk on stage. So, but yeah, we had. It's a game called Cash Flow, and it starts to make you look at money as a game, because you like writing down like, this is how much. And so at first you've got a job and you get your monthly salary, and it comes in every month. So when you pass go, you get your monthly salary, and you can choose to spend that monthly salary. You'll have like opportunities to buy stuff in the market, to invest in stock, to invest in, stuff like that. And then the point is that your cash flow eventually pays you more than your income, so that gets you out of the rat race, and then you're in a bigger circle, and then you can buy stuff like hotels. You can buy, it's like Monopoly basically, but it's really cool. It's Rich Dad Poor Dad's game. I'll send you a link to it, but it is really cool. But what it does is, at first you're there going, no, I want to hold on to my money. I'm holding on to my money. And then you start realizing, hang on, I'm getting paid all the time, like every month. And then you're going, well, actually, because you can take out a loan for stuff as well. So you're like, right, I've managed to pay off my loan for one good deal. So I've invested in whatever stocks, and then I got that back. So I've paid off my loan. I now own this property, and it's really cool. But like, that was something that I managed to see everything is not too serious. Like, I've always been, it's partially why my kids are, well, one of them's too young to really have too much of a personality, but partially why Phoenix is all fun. Like, because I'm still the same. I'm no, like, but I didn't used to be, don't get me wrong. I did take life too seriously at one point, until I realized that if you take it too seriously, people are still going to screw you over. And if you're either going to laugh about it or cry about it, you can either learn from it, that whole thing. But the one thing I always struggled with was money, seeing money as something that you could let go of and play with and stuff like that, until I played that game. And then it was like, this is fun, actually. This is really cool. But yeah, so yeah, a lot of people think when you're minted, you're going to go on a yacht to Marbella and you're going to do this, that, and the other. So
cool. This is the thing. Like, I think I think when you get to the point where like you can have it's like, for example, when I bought my car, like 2 weeks into having that, I was over it. And I was actually saying to Gemma, I'd much rather sell this and get my skateboard back out like I used to have when I was 13, 14, hop on that, go down to like and pick up like a nice coffee and like skate back to the apartment.
Yes.
Like, I'd much rather have simple things like that, because even in Marbella, you see this all the time. And there was this guy, and I think that I walked past, and it was phenomenal, because there's obviously a lot of like Louis Vuitton things here, and a lot of like Balenciaga, a lot of like big like fashion brands. And there was this group of guys. They were walking down the pole, and like head to toe branded. Branded. And there was this guy just sat outside at this coffee shop, just puffing on his cigar, flip flops on, you know what I mean, like a scraggy little polo shirt. He just stubs it out, blip blip, gets in his Ferrari and drives past, and their faces were just that just shows the difference between the people who are genuinely really wealthy and the people who are actually broke. They're just trying to appear to be wealthy all the time.
Yeah, they become more image based, don't they? Yeah.
100%. And that's what a lot of young people aspire to buy now. And I think it is very rare to see someone now that especially a bit younger, that genuinely is quite wealthy, but doesn't really show it off, because a lot of young people, they just want to buy this, buy that, buy this, buy that.
Yeah,
so it's quite rare. It's quite nice to see.
Yeah, part of that is like the hip hop kind of culture and stuff like that. They're all, every rapper's got Balenciaga or Gucci or whatever in. But actually, throughout lockdown, they made insane amount of sales. I can't remember. I think it was Louis Vuitton. Like their sales were insane, because everyone throughout lockdown completely lost their. Not everyone, but a lot of people did lose their identity. They weren't going on holiday and stuff like that, so everyone had a bit more money. But so they just bought into that idea that if it's that kind of fake it till you make it. Like I'll spend like $1,000 on a bag, and then I've now got some validity. I've now got something to me, and it's like that it's like really the rich people. I mean, I live in a really like upper class area, I guess. I got a cracking deal. It's not I'm minted. And that it's like that on a Friday night, on a Saturday night. You go down like the top of the street, and it's like Ferraris, Rolls Royce. You've got every single person has got Louis Vuitton. They've got like this, that, and the other. And you think, I wonder how many of you are actually in debt. Like whether this has come from debt or how many of you have actually got kind of what you do to get there. But yeah, I know you've got a call coming up soon, so I won't keep you too much longer. But so what would be your kind of top mindset tips for somebody else? Because obviously, like you said, you haven't always been chilled, but you did just find things kind of from a lesson. You did move on to things as a lesson. But what would be, if you had like a few kind of things that as a mentor, as a business owner, as just you yourself, what would you advise people to kind of like to help them if they are stuck in a place and they want to transform? Because obviously this is what all this podcast is about, is if they want to then transform to like level up, to change jobs, whatever. What would it be that Josh Dexter would give as advice?
Connect with more people. I think a lot of, especially just looking at coaches, we don't just mentor coaches, we mentor multiple businesses. But just looking at coaches now, there's a lot of coaches that start their business who might get in good shape and then expect people to come to them. Where it's just not the case. You have to connect with people. And I put this on my story, I think, a couple of weeks ago, but like the more hands you shake, essentially, the more money you make. Because the more people that you can connect with, the more relationships you can build, the more opportunities that you have. And that's something I've learned kind of over the years. Like the bigger your network is, and the more people you can build relationships with, the more doors that luckily open for you. And I get that quite a lot. Oh, you're lucky. Well, I'm not. I've just connected with a lot of people. And it's prime example when I started working for myself the second time, the successful time. I would literally message about 300 people per day.
Really?
And a lot of people I say that to, they don't believe me, and I'm like, genuinely, I will show you the DMs. Like 300 people per day I would reach out to, because I knew if just one of those people that day decided to purchase my service and allow me to help them, it's going to give me that step forward. So it's increasing my chances. So with any business, the more people you can connect with, the more hands you can shake, the more relationships you can build with any business, the more opportunities and the more doors that will luckily open for you.
Wouldn't it be nice, that mindset that you're so lucky? That's cool. And with social media and everything, obviously that is a lot easier now than it ever has been. And also, I guess you've got to get used to rejection a little bit. That's something that I've definitely found not difficult, because like it's no reflection on me. It's just the fact that someone doesn't want to be sold to or whatever. But I imagine you have to kind of, especially messaging 300 people a day, have to be ready to be rejected a little bit.
Get a thick skin after the time.
Whatever. I'm busy anyway. But no, that's cool. I will wrap things up so that you can jump onto your next call. That's awesome. Thank you very much for coming on. And I am booked in to talk to you next week anyway.
I've seen that email come through. So yeah, looking forward to it.
Fabulous. Well, I shall let you know when this is out, and where can people find you, and so obviously you've got Limitless. So how do people find you? How do people find Limitless and hook it up with their services? You can put a little plug in at the end here, and then people can find you.
So my Instagram is Josh Dexter _. You can find me on there. It's kind of like the main page that I'm using at the minute, but I am on Facebook, YouTube, everywhere. So just search my name, drop me a message, and me and the team can help you out if you are looking at like not going through those mistakes yourself. That's essentially what mentors are. We've made every mistake in the book, so you're essentially just learning from those decades of experience between us. Just drop me a message.
Awesome, fabulous. Right, we will see you at the next one. See ya. No worries.